Picture this, you're 15 years old. A man shoves a gun into your neck and forces you into a storage bin. Your survival instincts go into overdrive. For me, it wasn't just about getting out alive. My gut told me to do something else. Pay attention. I wasn't just a victim waiting for a rescue. I was a detective, and my case had just begun. On June 24th, 2002, I was living a perfectly normal life for a 15-year-old in Columbia, South Carolina. It was a hot summer day, and I was hanging out at my best friend's house. We were planning to go to a lake, but first, a quick chore, watering the flowers out front. I figured I'd do it. As I stepped into the sun, I had no idea that my life was about to take a terrifying turn. I was just a regular girl, living a regular life, moments away from meeting a monster who had been hiding in plain sight for years. As I was watering the plants, a dark green Pontiac Trans Am drove by, turned around, and pulled right into the driveway. A man in a baseball cap and jeans got out, holding a binder. He seemed friendly enough, asking if my friend's parents were home. When I told him they weren't, he walked closer, saying he'd just leave some pamphlets with me. But as he got near, he pulled out a gun, jammed it against my neck, and shoved me toward his car. In that moment, my mind shifted into pure survival mode. It was like all my internal chatter just stopped. Instead of panicking, I made a choice. Comply, stay calm, and start gathering intel. The man forced me into a huge plastic storage container in the back of his car. As I climbed in, one leg at a time, my brain wasn't registering fear. It was processing data. I counted the turns the car made, noted the classic rock on the radio, and even clocked the brand of cigarettes he was smoking. I didn't know it yet, but I'd just been taken by Richard Evanitz, a serial killer responsible for the murders of at least 3 other teenage girls. After a short drive, he brought me to his apartment. For the next 18 hours, I endured an unspeakable nightmare of assault and torment. He used handcuffs and ropes to tie me to his bed. But through it all, my mind stayed sharp, my focus unbroken. I had a mantra playing on a loop in my head. Gather information, wait for him to be complacent, escape. And gather information I did. Every chance I got, I scanned the messy apartment, turning it into a mental crime scene. I spotted his mail and memorized the name. I studied the magnets on his refrigerator, noting the names of his doctor and dentist. I saw 2 toothbrushes and feminine hygiene products, which told me a woman probably lived there too. I even memorized the serial number on the plastic bin I'd been forced into. I knew that to survive, I had to make him feel like he was in control. I used what experts call an appease response, carefully managing his temper by doing what he said without a fight. And it worked. He got cocky, thinking he had a compliant victim. He started leaving me alone for short periods, giving me more time to absorb the details of my prison. At one point, he even made me watch the evening news to see a report about my own kidnapping. This was meant to terrorize me, but it only hardened my resolve. I knew I was on my own, and every detail I memorized was a puzzle piece that could lead to my freedom and his capture. Sharing my story is a testament to the power of the human spirit. It's a stunning reminder that even in the absolute darkest moments, courage and intelligence can be your sharpest weapons. If you are finding my story impactful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps get this message of survival out there. Now, let's get back to how I completely flipped the script on my captor. After 18 hours of captivity, he drugged me and eventually fell asleep beside me. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. My hands were cuffed, and one leg was tied to the bed frame. Adrenaline was pumping, but my mind was crystal clear. I painstakingly worked the handcuffs to my mouth and, with unbelievable focus, used my teeth to unscrew the clasp holding them to the bed. Once my hands were free, I untied my ankle. Moving as slowly as I possibly could, I slid off the bed, desperate not to wake the monster sleeping inches away. I remember thinking, I know he has the gun right beside him, and he's going to see me running, and he's going to shoot me in the back. But I pushed that thought down, focusing only on the mission. I quietly got dressed and crept to the front door. A folding closet door was blocking my path, and I knew it would make noise. In a stroke of genius, I timed the sound of moving the closet door with the sound of unbolting the front door, masking the click of the lock. Then, I ran. Barefoot and terrified, I bolted from the apartment into the dark, early morning, and sprinted across the parking lot. I flagged down a car and told the two men inside, "My name is Kara Robinson. I was kidnapped and just escaped from that apartment." They drove me straight to the sheriff's office. My 18-hour nightmare was over. My hunt for justice was just beginning. At the police station, I tried to stay as composed as I could. I unloaded a flood of details I had so carefully memorized. I described him, his car, and the exact location of his apartment, which I was able to lead them right back to. And I gave them so much more. The names of his doctor and dentist from the fridge, his cigarette brand, and the serial number from the storage bin. When investigators got to the apartment, he was gone. But thanks to me, they knew exactly who they were looking for. Inside, they found a footlocker containing newspaper clippings about the unsolved murders of 3 girls from Spotsylvania County, Virginia. 16-year-old Sophia Silva and sisters Kristen and Katie Lisk, aged 15 and 12. Suddenly, the police realized this wasn't just a kidnapping. As Sheriff Leon Lott said, this was something else. This was actually a serial killer. The evidence I provided unlocked everything. Fibers from the handcuffs used on me matched fibers found on the bodies of the Lisk sisters and Sophia Silva. A palm print from one of the Lisk sisters was even discovered inside the trunk of his car. The cases that had been cold for years were now tied directly to him. With his identity blown, Richard Evenitz was on the run. He fled to Florida, but law enforcement was closing in fast. On June 27, 2002, just 2 days after my escape, he called his sister and confessed to committing more crimes than he can remember. His sister did the right thing and immediately called the police. Later that day, he was cornered in Sarasota, Florida. After a high-speed chase ended when he drove over spike strips, he was surrounded. Rather than be captured, Richard Evenitz took his own life. The reign of terror from a man who hid his monstrous side behind a mask of normalcy was finally over. For me, the journey was far from over. I hadn't just survived. I had brought a serial killer to justice, giving answers to families who had been waiting for years. For my incredible role in solving the Virginia murders, I received reward money and was able to meet the families of the other victims. But my true calling was just starting to become clear. I decided to turn my trauma into a mission. I went on to work in law enforcement, serving as a school resource officer and a victim's advocate, using my one-of-a-kind insight to help others. Today I am a public speaker, a mother, and a powerful advocate for survivors. I use my story not to focus on the darkness, but to inspire resilience, healing, and incredible strength. I am living proof that you are not defined by what happens to you, but by the choices you make next. I didn't just escape. I fought back with the most powerful weapon I had, my mind. I hunted a killer from inside his own apartment. And I won. What part of my story of survival and intelligence resonates with you the most? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you were moved by my story, please consider subscribing and sharing this video. Thank you for watching.